What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Sig M18. Before we do that, I want to thank my patron supporters. Thank you guys very much. Because of you, the channel still exists, and because of that, we do cool stuff over on the Patreon page. Also down there in the description is a local shelter that I'd like to support, named Iowa. It's a youth shelter, so I'd really appreciate it if you go down there and support those kids. The Sig M18 is essentially a shorter version of the M17, which I previously reviewed, which was also adopted by the Army and the U.S. Marines. It's a semi-automatic polymer frame striker-fired 9mm in flat dark earth with a 3.9-inch barrel and a 28-ounce overall weight, making it very comparable in size and weight to stuff like the Glock 19. More so the Glock 45, since it does have the full-size grip of the M17. It's basically the same grip module. The claim to fame for the 320 series, including the M18 and M17, is the chassis system, the modular frame. So if you live in a state, let's say, that you can't easily acquire firearms and you can only buy one, but you want to have a couple, you could buy an M18, M17, and you could put it in all kinds of frames and different slides and put different barrels on it. It makes it very modular and it makes it very nice, especially for those states which are restricted. If you want to buy lots of these frames or grip modules and you like to do a lot of Dremlin like I do, you don't have to worry so much about ruining a very expensive product because they're somewhere in the area, $60 generally, and you can pick them up and screw them up at your leisure. It comes with a whole bunch of features as well, including these very interesting sights, which I kind of hammered on in the M17 review, and make no mistake, I still hate them. They are done for a purpose, don't get me wrong, and underneath them they even have a Leopold Delta Point mount, I believe. They are tritium sights, which is nice. I like that. And they do have a very bold front. However, I really don't like the side ears on it, and they really do mess with me when I'm acquiring a sight picture. If this was your only gun, I don't think it would be an issue. However, I shoot a lot of different guns, so it is an issue for me, and it does slow me down and hamper my accuracy a decent amount, enough to where I'm going to complain about it a little bit. I don't think that would affect most people, but it did affect me, so it may affect you. It also has a little bit of a notch here on the front, so if you want to run it off your belt or big toe, you can do that as well. Front slide serrations up here. It's got a two-tone finish, which some people complain about, but I actually really like. I like when the Scar and a couple other guns like that use several different types of flat dark earth. It makes it look very unique. The takedown lever is one of the best features of the 320 series, in my opinion, because it's right there, so you can use it as a gas pedal. You can even switch it out for an aftermarket that actually has a gas pedal on it, which I think is pretty cool. On top of that, if the gun gets super dirty, you can still wrench her down and open her up, unlike a Glock. Slide release there is put in a great position, in my opinion, directly in front of the safety, so it's very difficult to actually push down and not engage the slide lock when you go empty, although with my big old thumbs, it still happened a few times. The safety on the M17 or M18 is good. I would consider it pretty good, actually, for a polymer frame pistol. It doesn't seem like they just glued it on the side like the M&P kind of feels like. It is fairly ergonomic and works fairly well. We used it a little bit in testing, but honestly, I basically just use it as a gas pedal and push down on it just to make sure it was disengaged. Magazine release worked really well. The texture is very good, although I gotta say, compared to the X series of SIGs, this grip module should be past tense. I know it's cool because it's in the military contract. However, the X-Frame series is much better and more ergonomic, and you get higher in the gun, in my personal opinion. The undercut is good. The front is serrated if you want to do that nothing fancy Jerry Michalik thing. It's got a Picatinny rail for lights and lasers, which makes it very acceptable for home defense, as well it should, because it's the military standard pistol, so if it didn't have that, I'd be a little surprised. Mine came with these guys. They will accept the standard M17 SIG P320 17-round magazine. However, mine came with 21-round magazines. I'm not sure if that's standard, but I thought that was pretty cool, or at least a pretty cool feature, and that's one of the reasons why I actually picked it up. Ran this gun 1,000 rounds. We shot 115 grain Cellar and Bellet, 115 grain Fiocchi, 124 grain Winchester, and 94 grain Pine Valley frangible ammunition. It actually had some issues with Cellar and Bellet, and actually had some issues with Fiocchi, which surprised me a great deal considering Fiocchi is an extremely reliable ammunition. We had several failures in this gun, I think something like maybe 3 or 4 out of 1,000 rounds, which surprised me a great deal because I believe the M17 ran through with no issues whatsoever. Adding insult to injury, SIG is currently being sued for drop safe issues. I believe they're fixed with this pistol. However, in my personal opinion, just personal opinion, I tend not to trust triggers that are striker fired that don't have a trigger safety quite as much as I would trust a gun that did. It does have a manual safety, so that can ease some of your worries. However, if you carry appendix, this might not be the platform that I would look into. Accuracy. Again, I mentioned earlier, because of the sights, we did have some mild accuracy issues. However, I think those would be quickly resolved if you put a mount on them. That usually is the case, like a red dot or something like that. I think, honestly, the gun is fairly accurate. I had some accuracy problems with the X5 Legion. I had some with the M17, and I had some with this. So I think it's possible that just me and the 320 series don't vibe all that well. However, traditionally, if you have a good trigger and good sights, you have pretty good accuracy. And I gotta say, overall, aside from the sight disaster that's up here, the trigger in the 320 series is actually really good. Let's go through it here really quick. Very, very short travel, very crisp. Feels like a pretty nice wall that you hit. The reset is a little bit longer than you expect, but not very long, so similar to a Glock. So it makes repeat shots very easy and very quick. Overall, I would say it's a pretty acceptable trigger. Obviously, it has a little bit higher bore axis than average. And there's a couple of you guys out there that don't believe in bore axis, that's fine. But the reality is, the higher the mass on the gun is, the more of a lever point it is, and the more it wants to rock back a little bit. That is less of a problem with the M17 because there's less mass up there to pull you back. Or sorry, the M18. So I felt that this gun actually shot a little bit quicker up close than the M17 did, which doesn't surprise me all that much, and it did up close feel really nice, and it did shoot really quick in my opinion. Part of the reason for that is the longer grip and the extended mags I was running. So I was really able to get my grip deep and really force the gun down and keep it flat during recoil. And I felt like within 25 yards, I would not have any issue defending myself with this gun. So I think for its intended purpose, it functions very well. The slide serrations I really like on the gun. One of the advantages of having a higher slide, like Sig does, is that it's easier to manipulate the slide. So if you're going to be racking it around or you're going to be clearing a malfunction, it's going to be easier to do on this gun than something like a CZ. Now, takedown can be done on this gun without pulling a trigger if you're into that. However, you can also do it the standard way. One of the good things about the Sig, as we talked about, is that modular platform. It allows it to be very customizable. So essentially, you can do whatever you want with this gun, and a large amount of accessories for the P320 are available. If you're looking for holsters, sights, triggers, grip modules, different slides, threaded barrels, different optics mounts if you don't want to run the Leopold, all that stuff is available. So anything you don't like on the 320 series, you can pretty much change, which is something I really like about the Glock, because the Glock comes out of the box, in my opinion, as a subpar gun to some of its competitors, like the CZP-10 or the M&P. The M18 series, in my opinion, comes out of the box a little subpar to something like the X series, like the X Compact and stuff like that. However, you can quickly change out a lot of these ergonomic issues, especially with this grip module, by going with a Wilson Combat grip module or going with the X series or something like that. So a lot of these ergonomic issues that I have with this gun could be fixed with a little bit of extra money. Another problem that you're going to have is the screws for the optic system come up from the bottom, so it does make it a little bit more difficult to mount than a standard gun. This gun retails for around $600. I did buy it at my local store for about that much. And in my personal opinion, if you like this particular platform and you're willing to accept a few reliability bobbles, then yeah, I think it's a good gun. Do I think it's the best gun in its class? Absolutely not. There are tons of guns that are similar in size, function, accuracy, and they are more reliable and they are significantly less money than this gun is. I also believe that you can get Sig products that are less money than this, that are better gun than this. However, if you like the cool factor from the military and you're willing to ignore the drop safe issues, the accuracy issues, some reliability problems, the finish that is more likely to wear off than most other brands, the optics plate which is difficult to put on, the bore axis, and the almost religious fan base that Sig has cultivated over the years that will not allow you to talk smack about the gun, if you're willing to jump all those hurdles, by all means, go out and pick up a Sig M18. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.